During the 1950s, African Americans, along with a few white activists, fought for African American civil rights.
Jim Crow or anti-black laws were discriminatory rules that negatively affected African Americans in the American society. Because these laws caused segregation toward African Americans, they were pressured to create a change using nonviolent protests. For instance, on November 30th, 1955, Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat for a white man in Montgomery, Alabama. 2 years later, on September 24, 1957, troops guarded Little Rock Central High School African American students in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Slow progress for African American civil rights pressured a group of African American and white activists to challenge segregation. Therefore, on May 3, 1961, Freedom Riders departed from Washington, D.C. There were 13 activists and 3 journalists. They were called the Freedom Riders.
Their mission was to travel down south to challenge segregation.
Instead of drinking from the colored-only water fountain, they rebelled and drank from the white-only section. Same goes with the restrooms. In one specific case, on May 8, 1961, Joseph Perkins, who was the first Freedom Rider to be arrested in Charlotte, North Carolina, for trying to sit in an only white shoe shine stand, and John Lewis and Al Bigelow were assaulted for trying to get in a white waiting room.
Because of these protests, on May 13, 1961, the first bus was burned near Anniston, Alabama by the KKK.
On the same day, bus number 2 was attacked in Birmingham, Alabama by the KKK. The riders were beaten in the hallways of the bus stations with pipes, chains, and clubs. However, the Freedom Riders said, "We will continue our journey one way or another. We are prepared to die."
President Kennedy was not satisfied with this news. He took action and sent 400 marshals to escort the riders along their ride. The bombing and attacks by the KKK made the driver fear for his life. On May 14, 1961, the driver refused to conduct them to continue their ride down south, but attorney Robert Kennedy convinced the bus driver to continue.
On May 23, 1961, the Freedom Riders were arrested in Jackson, Mississippi, and jailed in Parkman State Prison Farm. African Americans had a great accomplishment. Interstate Commerce Commission banned segregation. The Voting Act of 1965 was passed. The act prohibited discrimination because of race, religion, national origin, and gender. It gave all citizens the right to enter to public accommodation such as libraries, parks, and washrooms.
Today, discrimination in buses or public areas doesn't exist. However, there is still a racial tension among African Americans with whites and now Hispanics. Although legally African Americans have gained their civil rights, mentally many Americans continue to see them as minorities.